Hello everybody, my name is Walter and this is episode 11 of my Redstone Commands series. In this episode I want to cover the 7 chat commands that are currently in the game. So let's start with some general information. First of all chat commands fall into one of two groups. They are either broadcasts, so you send the message to all players, either on the map or within a team, or they are targeted messages, so you specify who is to receive that specific message. The Tellraw command is a special case for a targeted message, which allows you to use JSON text. Now, what can you do with chat messages or chat commands? For one, you can get creative with the player-to-player interaction. So you can either chat to a specific player using targeted messages, or you can use the Tellraw command to give your message some additional impact. The main problem with that is JSON text tends to be rather long, and in the chat window you are limited to 255 or 56 letters, so you quickly run into limitations there. A second common use is in data packs or via command blocks, giving the player some feedback in a mini game, for example, that he has lost or won or has reached a certain milestone or whatever. Then, quite common for interactive data packs are chat menus. I use them all the time. So you use the Tellraw command to have interactive JSON text with embedded click events, and they can interact with the data pack, setting variables, calling subfunctions, or giving you a cookie or some other things. And then you can use them also for debugging. So sometimes when you're building a data pack, something goes wrong or it behaves not like you would expect it to. And using chat messages, you can get information out of the data pack and get them into your chat window. So for example, you can have messages that tell you when a certain function has started or stopped, or when a variable has been set to a certain value or what value it currently has, or who is executing the command at this specific point, or where is the command executed from. All of that are information that can help you with getting the system running. Now, just an example. Let me quickly set this up. So I'm running my paintbrush data pack, and that allows me, for example, to turn an iron block into white wool just by clicking on it. And I can also change the color. Here you see also a chat menu, by the way. And you can see this works quite nicely. But let's say this doesn't work. Well, in that case, I could put some commands into my functions that are running. And here I did it for one of the functions. So my data pack has a triggered brush function it usually uses. And here I made a variant that's loud and tells me what's going on. And here I just trigger this manually. And you can see, okay, I'm summoning a ray tracer, then I'm setting up the position of that one, doing the ray tracing, and then deleting the ray tracer. And if the whole system stopped at this point, I would see where the problem lies. So that's what I mean with debugging. Now, before I get to the commands, a few quick information. First of all, pretty much all of the commands except for the Tellraw command just have the command, potentially a selector, and then a text. And that text is just taken as is, with the exception of target selectors. So you can use, for example, the self-selector, or you can use the entity selector or whatever as part of the text, and that will be resolved during generation of the command or the chat message itself. So if you have, for example, a say command and you have this entity selector for the nearest non-player, it will tell you not what you have written there, but instead it will give you the actual information about the selected target. If it's a player, you could also click on it and you would be able to get a chat message going on directly to that player, but I think you get the idea. Chat messages are also purely for players, so you can, when selectors are required, use player names, you can use player-specific target selectors, or you can also use the entity selector, but then you have to specify the type as player. So this is basically the same as if you were using the all player target selector from the beginning. So it doesn't really make much sense to go that way, but you can do that. And also pretty much all, except for the Tellraw command, will give you information about who is sending the message. But you will see how that looks like in a few moments anyway. So with that done, let's get to the commands. Let's start with the broadcast command, so you don't have to specify who is the target. The first is the say command, and it's pretty simple. You start with the command name, and then everything following that is taken as text. And what you get is first you get the sender in rectangular brackets, and then the actual text. So you can see I sent a message and the text here the same. Then we have the me. This starts with a star, and then you have the sender without any brackets or so. So you basically can make it part of the text. So for example, you can say I died, or R.K.F. Walter died, or whoever. So you can use it that way. Here you can see an example. And then we have the team message. This only works if you are in a team. And if you are in a team, this message is sent to all that are also in the team. Here it starts with this arrow, and then you have in rectangular brackets the team, then in triangular brackets the sender, which is you usually, or whoever sent it, and then the text. So here just an example. Those are the broadcasts. And just for completeness, let's send a message ourselves. And you can see when you send the message without a command, you have the triangular brackets. So you can always determine what type of broadcast message that is. Anyway, let's continue on with the whisper commands. So targeted messages that usually also embed things like the chess command and hover events to give you more information about the sender. So here you have three, which are all synonymous. They behave the same, they work the same, they are basically the same, just under different names. So either MSG for message, tell, or W for whisper. Then after that, you have to specify the target, can be a player name, can be target selectors, and then you have the text. And then you actually get, as the sender, you get two messages. You get this message for sending it, and you also get the message for receiving it, well, if you are within the selected players, obviously. So here, I'm just sending a message to all players, and you can see I get two messages, one for sending the message and the second for receiving it. And as with all of those, if I click on the sender, I have the suggest command in the background, and it will give me the option to directly answer to the player. So that's the whisper command. And now for the special case, Tellraw. Now Tellraw, as I said, allows you to use JSON text. The syntax is similar to before. So you have the Tellraw, then you have to specify who receives that, and then you have the JSON text. You can also use plain text, but then you have to have it in quotation marks. And since it's in quotation marks, selectors won't be resolved. So if you have an @a there, it will be an @a later on still. Anyway, let me show you two examples. So here, Tellraw command at all players, and just plain text, and you can see the quotation marks are not displayed. It's just the text in between. And here I have something more going on. I have used JSON text, but this wouldn't fit onto a sign, so we will have a quick look at the data of that sign so you can actually see what's going on here. So, and now let's look in there. Fourth and third line are empty. Second line is just this dark red text, and the first line is this text up here. It also contains a click event that then contains a Tellraw with a text, which is JSON text in dark red again, which also contains a hover event with the text, and this is JSON text. And you can see all of this escaping going on since it's JSON text embedded in the JSON text. And that's in a nutshell how the various chat commands work. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and well, see ya.